Republic. In any event, millions of people, at one point 3 million people, were on the streets of Tehran and in countries across, and in cities across the country. Now, two things were learned, I think, from this example. On the side of those who were the pro-democracy green movement activists, they demonstrated what it looks like when you mobilize people using Facebook, when you mobilize people using Twitter, when you simply are able to bring a huge number of people out onto the street and demand change. That's what we saw. Now, they didn't succeed. Doesn't mean the green movement's gone, but they didn't succeed in that time period. But as a template, this was the first time that we saw this kind of mobilization, that was kind of sparked in some degrees by this, by this large social media. That was new. It also took the regime by surprise too. We also had another example, sadly enough, and that is of what the regime or any regime can do if it's sufficiently determined to crush a pro-democracy movement. Because what we did see was we saw that the Iranian government was not afraid to kill its own citizens, rape its own citizens, arrest thousands of its own citizens, put more than 100 on kind of a Stalinist-style show trial. I mean, all kinds of things. These things dragged on for months. I mean, the Iranian, those who were making the decisions in terms of how to clamp down got very, very smart about how to shut down all of the different means of the social media. They shut down, they could slow it right down, or they would actually use it to find people. They would grab people and say, right, tell us your Facebook password. Who are your friends? What are the kinds of things that have been on your wall, right? And they were using those things to track people down. They were also locating people using technology provided by Nokia Siemens. Thank you very much. And a lot of Iranians will forever boycott those companies because of this technology they provided to the Iranians that enabled finding people who were using cell phones and also listening in and all kinds of surveillance techniques. In any event, the Iranian government demonstrated what was possible if you were ruthless. Now, fast forward to the first moment of the Arab Spring revolutions. A galvanizing moment where you had a young man who was fed up, hopeless, helpless in Tunisia. Nobody ever filmed this, but he burned himself to protest the fact that he was given a hard time, too many restrictions placed on his vegetable cart. And this is an educated man who felt he should have a lot better. Now, normally, this kind of event you might think would just disappear like a tree falling in the forest when no one's listening. But in this case, it spread as an idea, as a concept. And of course, we have since watched what's happened in Tunisia. We've watched what's happened in Egypt, and what's happened in Libya, and what is currently happening in Syria and Bahrain and Yemen. Well, not surprisingly, Iran wants to be on the right side of history. So once these things started happening, as soon as Mubarak fell, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, declared this to be a fabulous Islamic awakening. This was now finally the culmination of the 1979 revolution. We Persians started this trend. Everyone else is now finally waking up to what we saw as the right way to go. Now, that applied in Tunisia. That applied to the pro-West, pro-American, anti-Israel Mubarak, as far as the Iranians were concerned. Of course, it didn't apply to Syria. Those people were seditionists, right? Not pro-democracy people. So the Iranians are already beginning to deal with a bit of a dilemma there, because on the Syrian side, especially, the Iranians are in deep, deep trouble, because Syria provides a crucial part of their ability to project soft power and even hard power in the region. If they lose Syria, they're going to have a real hole in their strategic picture. Of course, through Syria, they support Hezbollah, they support Hamas. They also are able to then argue that their message is one that is a regional pan-Islamic one, not just Shiite, but one that's also Shiite and Sunni and for all Muslims. For the Islamic Republic, that's crucial, because no one understands more the limits of saying our revolution is Shia than the Shiites themselves, and they really do want to try to avoid that. So, in any event, you've got that going on, an Islamic awakening that really isn't an Islamic awakening. And I'm going to end on two images. One is a fabulous cartoon that I saw in, I think it was actually in Monitor, and it showed Khomeini standing up like this and pushing over a domino. And the first one said Tunisia, and the second one said Egypt, and then the third one, and away it went. Now this row of dominoes actually was a circle. And came back, and so once he saw the first one, he turns around, and there's another cleric behind him who's noticing that it's going to come back and hit Iran. And here's the reason why I think it's going to hit Iran, because even though the regime at this moment has actually won, they can argue that they've won over the Green Movement, because we haven't seen any sign in the streets of the Green Movement for quite some time. I believe that what happened in 2009 created such a problem inside the social fabric of Iran that the regime can't rely on its enforcers in the future. And I just want to give you the words. I'll end on the words of a Basaji man who was asked to take part in that crackdown. These are the kind of things that you cannot measure, right? How much damage has been done? Will this man, ask yourself, will this man be willing to step up again and crush the next pro-democracy movement when it comes up in Iran? He said, shortly after 2009, I never thought that these matters could be contaminated like this. I thought that I was continuing the path of my uncles and our martyrs. We really believed that what we did was correct, that we were serving the people, that we were serving God, and that our mission was nothing but worshiping God. But now I am ashamed in front of my people, and I am ashamed in front of my religion. I committed crimes knowingly and unknowingly. So, your questions.